They won't tell you this, but I will. Your mind is lying to you. Every time you hear that whisper saying you're not good enough, you'll fail, or why even try? That isn't wisdom. That's corrosion. It's mental rust, slowly eating away your potential. And unless you kill those thoughts at the root, they will bury every ounce of greatness you were meant to express. Most people don't lose to the world. They lose to their own thinking. And here's the truth the weak avoid. You don't need a harsh world to destroy you when you've already internalized your worst enemy. This is not just about motivation. This is about mental survival. Because your thoughts create your perception, and your perception becomes your reality. And if your reality is poisoned, so is your future. So ask yourself this: are you the master of your thoughts or their prisoner? If you can't answer that confidently, you're already bleeding potential, and it's time to cauterize the wound. Right now, comment this below to make your move. I kill negativity, I rise relentlessly. Let it be your war cry. And stay with me, because in the next few minutes, we're going to dismantle the enemy within, using the ruthless precision of Stoicism and the brutal honesty of dark psychology. Number 1. Stoic realism. Thoughts are not truths. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." But most people live as if their thoughts are facts carved into stone. They mistake emotion for evidence. They confuse fear with foresight. And that's exactly where the downfall begins. Here's the Stoic truth. Your thoughts are impressions, nothing more. They rise like smoke, and just as quickly, they vanish. But if you grip them too tightly, they become chains. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer, the judge, the architect of what stays and what is discarded. Epictetus made it brutal and clear. It's not things that upset us, but our judgments about things. When a negative thought appears, I'm too late, I'm too weak. This is impossible. That is not a command, that is a test. A signal to ask yourself, is this useful? If not, the Stoic moves on. The emotional prisoner, however, obeys. Dark psychology shows us that repetition of thought rewires belief. The more you tolerate a negative pattern, the deeper it etches into your psyche. It becomes your baseline operating system. You weren't born broken. You were programmed that way by parents, peers, pain. But programming can be replaced. That's what this journey is about. Comment this if you're done being a puppet to your thoughts. I choose thought, thought doesn't choose me. Hit that like button if this already punched a truth into you. Because next, we're going deep into why your mind sometimes turns against you and how to break its spell. Number 2. Dark psychology, why the mind sabotages its own host. Let's get darker. Let's be honest. Your mind isn't designed to make you happy. It's designed to keep you alive. And in its primitive logic, staying alive means avoiding risk, exposure, rejection, and failure. But here's the sinister twist. The very mechanisms meant to protect you end up strangling you. From a dark psychology standpoint, the subconscious mind operates like a manipulative ruler. It uses fear to control behavior. It whispers worst-case scenarios not because they're real, but because it wants obedience. Obedience to the familiar, to the comfortable. Even if the familiar is depression, even if the comfortable is mediocrity. You've probably heard that self-sabotage is a flaw. It's not. It's a strategy. A brutal, flawed strategy based on faulty logic that says, if I don't try, I can't fail. But the real failure is never stepping into the arena. Now understand this. Every time you indulge in negative thinking, you're reinforcing the internal saboteur. And it gets stronger, quieter, smarter. It learns to mimic your voice, to sound like reason, like caution, like realism, but it's a liar. It's the ghost of past pain wearing a mask. The Stoics would say, "You suffer more in imagination than in reality." Seneca knew the danger of feeding phantoms instead of facing facts. So here's your command. Kill your negative thinking before it becomes your identity. Comment this to drive the knife deeper. I am not my fear, I am my fire. Like this video if you're ready to fight smarter, not softer, and stay sharp. Next, I'll show you how you became your own enemy and why it's time to mutiny. Number 3. The inner tyrant, how you became your own enemy. There's a moment in every life where the enemy stops being out there and starts living in here, in your head, in your habits, in your self-talk. And that shift doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow corruption, a silent rebellion. Until one day, the voice that tells you you can't doesn't sound like someone else. It sounds like you. But here's the truth. You weren't born doubting yourself. You were taught to. Slowly, by experiences that punished risk, by people who projected their fears, by a world that confused conformity with safety. And now you obey a tyrant that lives in your skull, a tyrant you didn't elect, but one you keep in power every time you submit to that voice of limitation. The Stoics believed that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Let that sink in. Your mindset isn't neutral. It stains your decisions, your relationships, your future. If your dominant thought is fear, your life will reflect fear. If it's weakness, your outcomes will be weak. But here's the twist. Dark psychology teaches us that the tyrant can be overthrown by exposure. The more you confront the lie, the more it withers. That's why negative thoughts hate silence. They hate stillness, because in silence you can see them clearly and kill them. Right now, write this below to declare war on your inner enemy. I serve no inner tyrant. I command my mind. And if this hit deep, like the video right now, because what comes next will give you the Stoic weapons to take your power back. Number 4. Marcus Aurelius on mental discipline. Marcus Aurelius didn't just rule an empire, he ruled his mind, and that was the harder battle. In his private journal, he wrote not to the world, but to himself, pages of reminders, warnings, commands, because he knew that unchecked thoughts were like undisciplined soldiers, useless in battle and dangerous in peace. He wrote, "You have been made of 3 parts, body, breath, and mind. The first 2 are yours only in trust. The third alone is truly yours." That's the foundation of Stoic discipline, ownership of the mind, total control, no excuses. Aurelius didn't wait for motivation. He trained his thoughts like a warrior sharpens a blade. When fear rose, he questioned it. When anger sparked, he cooled it. When the urge to quit whispered, he wrote, "Get back to it." Don't let yourself be ruled by the same old complaints. This is what most people miss. They think discipline is about action. No, it starts before that. Discipline begins at the thought level. If you don't master what arises in the mind, you'll never master what manifests in the world. This is your reminder that your mind is not a playground. It's a battlefield. And right now, every negative thought is a threat to your potential. Comment this now if you're ready to rise like the emperor of your own psychology. I command my thoughts. They obey me. Hit that like button if you're tired of being overthrown by thoughts you never agreed to think. Next, we'll rewire the negative dialogue, because replacement, not resistance, is the Stoics' tactic for transformation. Number 5. Rewiring the inner dialogue. Replace. Don't resist. Here's the subtle trap of the mind. You think that resisting a negative thought will make it go away, that if you just argue with it long enough, you'll win. But the truth? Resistance is still attention, and what you pay attention to expands. When you say, "I'm not a failure," you're still saying the word failure. When you say, "I'm not weak," you're still focused on weakness. The mind doesn't hear the "not." It hears the image, the emotion, the weight of the word. The Stoics understood this long before psychology caught up. They knew that inner peace doesn't come from battling every thought. It comes from transcending the fight. Marcus Aurelius didn't write pages arguing with his doubts. He replaced them strategically, powerfully, over and over. He wrote things like, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That wasn't just philosophy. That was reprogramming. Negative thinking thrives when it becomes a loop. It repeats in your mind, and each repetition strengthens the neural pathway. That's how a passing fear becomes an identity. But here's the weapon: you can reroute the loop, not by fighting it head-on, but by overriding it, like installing new code over a virus-infected program. Let's break it down. When your mind whispers, "I'm not good enough," you don't argue. You replace it with, "I am training, I am improving. Every day I grow stronger." When it says, "What if I fail?" you say, "Then I learn, then I evolve, then I come back sharper." This isn't toxic positivity. This is tactical reprogramming. Dark psychology backs this up. The subconscious responds to emotion plus repetition. That's the formula. If you only say it once, it's background noise. But if you repeat it daily with intent, it becomes belief. And belief rewires everything. So here's what you do. Create a short, powerful phrase. Something you can say out loud when the storm comes. Not a plea, not a wish, a command, a new truth. Say it until it becomes your new default. That's how warriors think. That's how Stoics endure. Comment this phrase now to stamp it into your identity. I rewrite my mind. I speak power, not permission. Let the algorithm of your life hear it. Like this video if you feel the shift already taking place. Because once you change the language in your head, you no longer walk through life reacting. You lead. You decide. And in the next section, I'll show you the Stoic weapon that burns through negativity like fire through fog. Voluntary hardship. Because comfort coddles weakness, but hardship forges strength. Number 6. Embrace voluntary hardship. The Stoic weapon against negativity. Weak thoughts don't survive in a strong environment. And that's exactly why the Stoics trained themselves through voluntary hardship. They didn't wait for pain to find them. They walked into it willingly. Seneca said it best. Set aside a certain number of days, during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, "Is this the condition that I feared?" Why? Because hardship reveals truth. When you strip away comfort, you expose your mental habits. And most of the time, what you find is fear. Fear of discomfort, of uncertainty, of weakness being revealed. But that fear is a gift, because once you confront it head-on, it loses its hold. Negative thinking thrives in soft conditions. It grows in routine, in luxury, in laziness. But put yourself in a situation where you must act, and watch how fast the noise dies. There's no room for doubt when your mind is focused on survival. That's why cold showers, intense workouts, fasting, early rising, these aren't trends, they're psychological weapons. Each act is a statement. I am not ruled by ease. And when the mind sees you endure what it feared, it starts obeying instead of rebelling. Dark psychology knows this too. When you expose the subconscious to manageable suffering, you teach it resilience. You condition it to see challenge not as a threat, but as a trigger for power. That's how you kill weak thoughts, by drowning them in disciplined action. So ask yourself, when's the last time you did something difficult on purpose? not because you had to, but because it made you mentally bulletproof. Right now, comment this below if you're ready to stop fearing pain and start using it. I face discomfort, I forge discipline. Smash that like button if you know comfort was never the goal. Control is. Next, we dive into how to use dark psychological tactics not against others, but against the weakness inside you. A Stoic mind with a Machiavellian edge is unstoppable. Number 7. Play the psychological game like a Machiavellian strategist. The Stoics gave us strength. The Machiavellians gave us strategy. Blend them together, and you get a mind that doesn't just endure chaos, it orchestrates it. You stop reacting to life and start manipulating the battlefield. Machiavelli understood that human nature is predictable. People are ruled by fear, desire, approval, and emotion. And guess what? So are you. But unlike most, you're about to use that understanding not to exploit others, but to take back control from the part of yourself that's been exploiting you. Every time your mind says, "Let's play it safe," it's not being wise, it's manipulating you with fear. When it says, "Don't try, you'll embarrass yourself," it's using social rejection as a weapon against your progress. You must become the strategist within your own psychology. That means learning to see through the tricks your lower self plays on your higher self. The Stoic remains calm, the Machiavellian remains calculating. Together they don't react, they observe, analyze, and then strike. You must treat your negative thoughts like hostile agents. Interrogate them. Ask, what is this thought trying to protect? What leverage does it think it has? Once you identify its tactic, you can break it. You manipulate yourself into growth by using rewards, rituals, and reframing. You turn every failure into data, every doubt into leverage, every pain into fuel. This is how you become untouchable, by mastering the game within the game. So right now, declare your shift. Comment this below. I am the master strategist of my mind. If you're done being a pawn to your own thoughts, like this video right now, because next, I'm handing you the daily tools, simple rituals that turn mental combat into a daily victory. Number 8, daily mental combat, rituals that reinforce strength. Your mind is not a peaceful garden, it's a battlefield, and the battle isn't once a year or once a crisis, it's daily. If you don't show up armed and alert, your thoughts will eat you alive. That's why warriors, philosophers, and emperors, people like Marcus Aurelius, developed rituals, not routines, not trends. Rituals, strategic, repeatable acts designed to train the mind to obey you. In the modern world, your mind is under siege. Algorithms feed you distraction. Ads whisper inadequacy. Society rewards emotional reactivity, not reason. If you don't establish your own psychological ground game, you're not living, you're reacting. That's why you must treat every day like a mental war zone. And your rituals, they're your weapons. Let's build your arsenal. First, morning clarity. Marcus Aurelius started his day by anticipating obstacles. He didn't say, "I hope things go well." He said, "You will meet people today who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous." That wasn't negativity, it was armor. Set your expectations like a general before battle. Write this down every morning. I will not be surprised by hardship. I will not be ruled by emotion. I will remain calm and sharp. Second, physical discipline. It doesn't matter if you're hitting the gym, taking cold showers, walking in silence, or meditating under discomfort. What matters is that you do something hard, on purpose. This is voluntary hardship. This is training the body to serve the mind, and the mind to lead the body. Negative thinking cannot thrive in a mind that's constantly tested by friction. Discomfort reveals weakness and teaches dominance over it. Third, thought surveillance. Throughout the day, stop and interrogate your internal dialogue. Ask yourself, who is speaking right now? Is it the courageous you, the focused you, or is it the scared old version, the passive self who wants comfort, validation, and distraction? Call it out. Replace the weak voice. Say your personal truth aloud. Burn it into the air. I am not soft. I do not flinch. I lead my thoughts. They do not lead me. And finally, nightly autopsy. The Stoics reviewed their day before sleep. What did you tolerate that you shouldn't have? When did weakness win? What triggered your negative spiral? Write it, own it, then prepare to correct it. Sleep not as a victim of the day, but as a strategist, sharpening for tomorrow. Dark psychology is clear. Repetition builds identity. If you're not ritualizing mental dominance, then negativity is quietly being ritualized for you. Inaction is programming. You're either the coder or the coded. Right now, declare your shift from drift to discipline. Comment this below. My rituals make me ruthless. Not cruel, but clear. Not cold, but unshakable. And if this section gave you the blueprint, like this video now. Because next, we step into the final truth. Either you kill the noise, or it kills your potential. Number 9. Kill the noise or be killed by it. Let's end with what no one wants to admit, but what everyone eventually learns the hard way. If you don't kill the noise in your mind, it will kill your future. Not in one loud, dramatic blow, but slowly, quietly, a little hesitation here, a little doubt there, until your potential bleeds out in the corner, unseen and unfulfilled. The world doesn't need more talent. It needs more clarity, more mental sovereignty. The enemy isn't your job, your parents, or your past. The enemy is the voice that says, "You're not ready," when you were born for this. It's the voice that whispers, "What if you fail?" when failing forward is how you win. It's that endless loop that plays your insecurities like a lullaby, putting your greatness to sleep before it ever wakes up. You must kill that voice. Ruthlessly. No compromise, no negotiation. That voice doesn't deserve mercy because it has never shown you any. The Stoics taught us to confront death so we could finally live. To rehearse adversity so that nothing catches us unarmed. Marcus Aurelius didn't wait for his mind to spiral. He preemptively crushed its lies every morning. You must do the same. And remember, dark psychology teaches us that if you don't control your mind, someone else will. Through fear, through media, through unmet childhood scripts disguised as logic. But when you step into the fire, ritually, intentionally, stoically, you silence the lies. You stop chasing peace and start forging it. So, here's your final test. Will you go back to sleep after this video, letting your negative thoughts tuck you in with mediocrity? Or will you wake up sharper, harder, and more mentally ruthless than ever? Because this is it. Kill your negative thinking before it kills your potential. Comment one last time to mark your breakthrough. I am reborn in fire. My mind is my weapon. Like this video if this message hit harder than comfort ever could. And if you're serious about becoming unshakable, make sure you subscribe to Stoic Spark right now. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next weaponized lesson. Because remember this, the world doesn't reward the soft-spoken mind. It rewards the one who commands it. You've got the blueprint. Now, build the mindset. We'll see you in the next video, warrior.